Hi, my Astro family. This is Lada from astrolada.com. And today, my guest is someone that probably all of you know, or most of you. He is one of the biggest names in astrology, and he's one of the most famous, recognized names, but also the creator of the biggest astrology software in the world, the most popular astrology software, the most also niche one of Kepler and Sirius. So today, and he's also, but today I want to talk about the different side of him. He's basically he's trying to revolutionize astrology, and he's trying to take astrology to the next level. So we don't just look back into the past to see what the rules of astrology is, but using the modern tools that we know now have thanks to technology to find out statistically what actually works in astrology. Hello, David. This is David Cochrane, and he's here with me today. So excited to present him to you.
Hey, Lada, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, I'm so excited. I really want to know about, because we've been in touch for a year, and David has been writing to me how he's changing the face of astrology and how he's turning it around, basically, based on from what most astrologers do. We rummage in old books and old scriptures and try to translate them and to see what the right rules of astrology is. But David said, no, we're advanced enough to see and test statistically and mathematically and scientifically what actually works and what doesn't work. David, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, you've explained it very well, Lada. You know, Astrology is a language, and we all speak this language. It's hard for me to imagine right now what it would be like if I did not speak the language of astrology, because it's so ingrained in everything we do. It becomes part of our lives. It's like our heart beating or breathing. It becomes part of you. And maybe that's good enough. I mean, that's fine. We speak that language. But we say something like, you have a lot of Taurus, or you're stubborn, or you have a lot of Gemini, you talk a lot, you have a lot of Cancer, you're sentimental, Leo, you have a big ego, blah, 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 Virgo, you're picky. We say these things, we see them, we experience them. Well, if we see them, we experience them, we live them, it's part of our lives, then it must be true. And we should be able to look at charts of people. We're in an information age, right? I mean, we didn't have an internet 30 years ago. We didn't have computers, in our pockets, connected through the internet to the whole world. We are in a revolutionary information age. And one of the things that I'm doing that I'm very excited about is I'm just like you. I'm just like everybody viewing. I eat, sleep, and breathe astrology. It's the way I see the world. But also, in addition to that, I want to check it out, man. I want to see if this really works. So we have huge databases, tens of thousands of charts. We can see what the people who have a lot of Gemini in their charts are like. So we're validating, we're double checking, we're investigating. And like you said, we're not just depending on the old books. I mean, I love those old books. I've got hundreds of them on my shelf, and I've read most of them. And we're passionate about this. We love it, but we're moving forward. We stand on the shoulders of giants. We don't want to just look back, or at least I don't. So I'm looking forward, and we've developed some new ideas from our research. We have changed some of the ideas in astrology, like what the signs mean, what aspects we look at. Because when you dig into the data and you really check things out, astrology is even more intricate and more beautiful than we thought it was. So I use this system we call vibrational astrology, which grew out of the research.
I know that you're even having conferences that are going up to 100, 200 people or bigger. So
Yeah.
it seems like it's a whole movement that astrologers are following. And someone like me, who is very scientific, I'll be much more willing to follow this kind of astrology that's statistically checked, experimental. Maybe it's my Aquarius as well, and my very logical areas. But it's and that's the only way if you want to be taken seriously is to use vibrational astrology, as you call it, or scientific astrology. I would call it as well, the new astrology,
Right.
to to prove or disprove what works. Can you give us a few examples what you found out with your statistical analytical approach to astrology?
Okay, and before I tell you what we found out, let me make a reference to the conference that you mentioned. So, our first conference, we had our very first one in April 2019. It's in North Florida, a town called Gainesville, Florida, which happens to be where I live. We had over 100 people at the first one, and it will be every year. So, the next one will be in late March, March 27 to 29, 2020. We think there'll easily be over 150, probably 200 people. So yes, it's booming. The excitement is there, and we will have it every year. And we expect more and more people to come because it's exciting to see that astrology really works. To look at the data. Okay, so some examples of things that we have found. I can give a lot of examples. Let me take the most obvious one: zodiac signs. Okay, so
Mhm.
we're pretty sure we know what zodiac signs. Most of us use the tropical zodiac. Some, probably most people watching this, of course, the sidereal zodiac is very popular as well. But with the tropical zodiac, what we've done is something very, very simple. We go through a database of 20,000 people who have AA accuracy. That means from a birth certificate. And then we have this
Mhm.
software. We have different software programs and it pulls out the people who have the most Aries, like someone who has Sun, Moon, Ascendant, and Aries, ruler of the Ascendant Aries. They have the most Aries. Now, here's how the game.
That'll
This is
do.
yeah. So this is like a game. If you like baseball or basketball, it's a game, and the game works like this: you pull out the people who have the most Aries, and then you defend your argument about how they are Aries. Are they pioneers? Are they independent? Are they, in your face, direct? What are they like? We read the biographies, we study them. If they're contemporary, we watch interviews of them. And then you look at the chart and you use anything you want. You can say, oh, it's all in the 12th house, so it got weak, or Saturn is squared, so it's weak, or you could use Vedic rules, whatever you want to do, but you defend your point of view. Now, here's the only difference between this more scientific method and what we usually do is that you don't pick the charts, okay? You have to use the charts that come out of the database that say this guy has Sun, Moon, Ascendant, ruler of the Ascendant, all in Aries, more Aries than anybody else. You can't skip over his chart. You've got to say,
Mhm.
hey, what's going on here? And as long as you can make a reasonably good argument about what Aries means, then you win the game, okay? And if you cannot, if those people are not pioneering, if they're not all fiery and warriors, then really our idea is probably wrong. Okay. So, what this
Mhm.
game does is it allows you to decide what could be right and what's probably wrong. So, you can't just keep making excuses. You have to find a way to make sense of this data. So, one phrase we use is data driven. We're now driven by the data. We don't get to say, oh, well, it's an anomaly. It just doesn't work. No, no, you can't have anomalies. If
Mhm.
it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay. So I went through all 12 signs. I made a video about each one and about what each zodiac sign means. And the meanings are a little different from what we think
Really?
they are. Yes, they're a little bit different. Okay. So let me tell you about it. You want me to tell you about Aries, for example? Let me
Yes.
cover that. Okay. So what the research shows with Aries is that Aries has a desire to be direct, to be honest. You know that story, the emperor has no clothes, like the emperor's walking in the parade, and everybody says,
Mhm.
oh, look at the emperor, he's so handsome. And some little kid goes, he has no clothes on. And, that kind
Yeah.
of simple, raw directness, to
Mhm.
not play any
Mhm.
games, because every time we communicate with someone, we adapt to them, we modify ourselves. We have to in order to communicate with each other. Everything we do in life, we make little social adjustments. Like somebody who
Mhm.
knows you in one area of life may think of, oh, Lada is like this, that she's so funny, whatever. Oh, and someone else says, oh no, Lada is so serious. We bring out different sides of ourselves in different environments. And if you keep doing that enough, you don't know who you are anymore because you just become
Hmm.
this like puppet in this show and you just keep adjusting. And Aries is
Hmm.
this force. So what the astrology is it's a force. It's like a process, it's a drive, it's a movement. And Aries is this movement to just be honest and to have integrity. Now, let me tell you another thing about Aries. Aries will usually not fight, contrary to popular opinion. What Aries will usually do is leave because Aries actually does not want to fight. It just wants to be honest. Now, if you have a child and children don't have a lot of freedom or an employee and you force the person to do something they don't feel right about, now you have an all-out war. Okay. Now you're going to have a fight. But if they have the freedom, Aries would rather leave than fight. What we found with the strongest Aries is that they were loners. I mean, literally. I mean, these people lived off in like the woods somewhere. I mean, they left everything because they found if they were with people, they had to keep adjusting and explaining themselves, and you lose contact with your honesty. So you see how we have a different view of Aries from the research. Now, what's cool about this is you could say, "Oh, David, you're wrong. I've been doing astrology for, I've done all these clients. You're wrong." Okay, cool. You can look at the data and make a different argument about what's going on. But now we have a platform, we have the data to work with and to decide how astrology really works.
That's very interesting observation that you said because I have four planets personal in Aries and I don't fight. I go away, I leave. And that's
Yeah.
not typical Aries behavior. I would fight on only and then I would lose it if I mean if you're right, if I'm really limited in my like my dad once locked me at home when I was 33 and said you're not going out. I went crazy. I broke the door, I called the police. And, it's a simple example, but this is so true. But it kind of reminds me of what you talk about. There is a bit like Pisces, loners. What the definition of Pisces could it be that this is sidereally? There is a sidereal zodiac behind that is even deeper than the tropical, because there is an argument now that tropical zodiac is the characteristics of a person, while the sidereal is the deep mission of a person or the really deep soul qualities of a person. I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of withdrawing, being away. I also always live away and I'm withdrawn from people. But that sounds more like the definition of Pisces we have. Could it have
Well,
something to do with this?
it might, but the Aries doesn't necessarily withdraw. They withdraw when people pull them out of being honest. Like, say you have a child
Mhm.
and you say to the child, uh, say hello to your Aunt Sally or something. And the kid is thinking, I don't want to say hello to Aunt Sally because she's a hypocrite. She just talks about herself. She demeans me. I don't want to say hello to her. And then you force the kid to say hello. And then he says, hello, Aunt Sally. Well, you've done something very bad to Aries. You've made Aries be insincere. You've made them not be authentic. They don't
Okay.
want to fool something. They don't want to be rude either, but they would rather be rude than be deceptive or lie or give a false impression. So by forcing the kid to do that, now the kid has to do something because he's uncomfortable or
Mhm.
she's uncomfortable. So now she may run away so she doesn't have to do this anymore because mom's going to make her do this and do that.
Mhm.
They'll only run away when you're forcing them to not be authentic. When they can be
Okay.
direct, when they can be honest, they're not particularly loners, they're inventors. We always say that. They're
Okay.
pioneers. It's true.
Okay.
And you know why Aries is a pioneer? Because they're just being straight out, simple, and honest. I mean, if you're honest long enough, you'll notice things other people aren't seeing. So they're always getting to that starting point. So the pioneering, the invention, these are all symptoms of somebody just trying to get to the first point, to be honest. Because, for example, let's say you believe that Buddha is enlightened, or you believe that Jesus is the savior, or you believe that science is great. Well, you decided that. You
Hmm.
decided that Buddha is enlightened. So ultimately, it comes down to me and you, each of us as people. And Aries is that starting point. Well, anyway, maybe it's the sidereal Pisces underneath, whatever it is. But what's
Hmm.
most
But
important
there
to
is
me,
definitely recurring qualities and that are
yes, there are
persistent.
recurring qualities. And what's most important to me is that we have a way to figure this out. We have the
Mm.
data, and you can go through the data, you can look at the charts, you can make a different argument, but it changes the game. This is the revolution. Instead of you having your opinion, I have my opinion, and this person has their
Hmm.
opinion, we now have a method to figure out. And there are technical reasons. I'm not going to get into the technical reasons. You know, I have a master's degree in research methods and statistics and all this stuff, but there are reasons why this procedure really works. I mean, on a
Hmm.
scientific level, that you play this game of picking the extreme cases and figuring out, you know, using that as your basis. So anyway, that's one kind of research. We've done all kinds of research, but you know, the Zodiac Signs is one. And I think it's a revolution because now we can
Yes.
actually figure out what could possibly work, what doesn't work with any system of astrology. And you could present this at an academic conference, and it's more like a scientific academic level. And let me say one more thing. Everything we do now with our clients and our experiences, I'm not suggesting we get rid of any of that. That's all extremely important. I'm just saying we add this new level and it helps us go to a new level of understanding.
Wow. Can you give me another example for some other? You said like you research sports people or something like that. Some
Yeah,
other
yeah,
like what would be more recurring for them, something a bit more complex than just
yeah,
science.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm fascinated by your.
Yeah, we found out what's in the chart of rock musicians. We found
Oh
out,
yes.
yeah,
Tell
we found out what's in the chart of the greatest athletes, like you know Michael Jordan, the great basketball player, or you know, uh, we took early rock and roll stars like Jim Morrison, you know, of the Doors and stuff like this, because he has birth time from a birth certificate. And we took the list of the greatest rock musicians from different websites, and every one that we could get AA data for, you know, which means from a birth certificate, we used the research to find out what they have in common. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, is they don't have a lot of Scorpio or Leo or whatever you might think. And this is where we got into the vibrational astrology. There are vibrations in their charts, okay? And the vibrations are not
okay.
based on 12. Okay, so we've kind of created a new kind of astrology. We call it vibrational astrology. It's not brand new. It's built on ideas in Vedic astrology. In Vedic astrology, you have the Vargas, like the Navamsha chart, the
Uh-huh.
Saptamsha chart. So we use the
Uh-huh.
Navamsha chart, we use the Saptamsha chart, and we use other Vargas that are not in the ancient Vedic literature. So it's built on the idea of Vargas. And there was an astrologer in England about 30 years ago, John Addy, and he worked with this idea. Other people have, even Johannes Kepler historically was interested in this idea. But we've taken it to a whole new level because we're in an information age. You know, nobody else had all this data, could sort through it and figure it out. Okay, bottom line is the rock stars have Venus, Uranus, and Pluto, the planets we would expect, right? Venus, Uranus, and Pluto in what we call 11 vibration. And what you do is you take a circle and you divide the circle into
Mhm.
11 pieces. Okay, can you visualize that? You divide it into 11 instead of
Yes.
12. You know, I could share my screen or something, but it's pretty simple. You just take the screen, hold on there,
Sorry.
and it's okay, and divide it into 11 pieces, and you end up with some weird number, right? Like 1/11th of a circle. It's between 32 and 33 degrees. And if the planets Venus, Uranus, and Pluto are in 11ths of a circle, it makes you a rock star. or potentially a rock star.
Venus, Uranus, or Pluto.
No, all three of
One
them.
of the three.
All three.
All three.
Yeah. So, like a
All the
sex.
big ones have it. Wow. So all the
Well,
big ones
it's
have
actually
it in the 11th.
it's a little more complicated than that, but that's the basic beginning way for me to introduce it. So, for example, a sextile is 60 degrees, 1/6 of a circle, right? And a
Mhm.
trine is 1/3 of a circle, 120 degrees. Well, why do we only use 60, 90, 120? What's wrong with 1/7 of a circle?
11.
Or 1/9, which is 40 degrees, or 1/11? Well, what we found is that we live in a vibrational universe. Sound
Uh-huh.
travels in waves, light travels in waves. A lot of physicists think that everything is a vibration, like in string theory, that everything is based on vibration, and astrology is based on vibration. So there are more vibrations than what the ancient books told us about. And when you divide the circle into 11, you get this very restless, it's very Uranian feeling, like
Oh, and
can't
carries the
sit
energy of
still.
Uranus. Yes.
Yeah, so you put Venus and Uranus and Pluto, which Pluto is compulsive and obsessive, in this like obsessive, restless 11 vibration, and you have somebody who's just on fire, full of rhythm and excitement, and they can't sit still. And rock and roll is a perfect outlet for that.
Wow.
So, yeah. And what's cool about this?
Wow. That is
Yeah.
like I'm blown away now. I'm
Yeah. Yeah. No, this is so exciting because not only is it a fascinating idea, but it works. I mean, we can run it through the databases and show that. In fact, I've made videos on this. I have about a dozen videos on the rock musicians. So all this stuff's freely available on
on
my
YouTube.
YouTube. You know,
Okay, so YouTube is David Cochrane.
yeah, David Cochrane's astrology. You'll find it. And we did the same thing with athletes. So athletes have Mars, right, which we expect. Um, Mars, Saturn, Pluto, also Uranus, planets like that. Usually at least three of those. And you'll never guess the vibration. It's not 11. They're distributed. If you take the circle and you divide it into 7, which is the Saptamsha chart in
Uh-huh.
Vedic astrology. You divide the circle to 7, and the planets are distributed by these sevenths, the power planets with Mars. And all the great athletes have this, the greatest athletes. They'll have these configurations. So what's happening is the planets are making these frequencies, these vibrations, and there are all these beautiful, intricate tapestry of vibrations, making like kaleidoscopes, making this beautiful, intricate tapestry. And what we've done in astrology so far is we've only seen like the superficial level of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're going to this whole new level of astrology, which the information age is making possible.
Wow.
And I'm not the only person doing this. Well, now some of my graduates from my programs, they're as good or better than I am at this. I mean, so they're giving lectures, they're teaching, they're making discoveries, they're lecturing at the VA conference. I'm learning from them because it's not about me, it's not about, an individual. It's about how astrology works. And so,
Did
yeah.
you invent this method, this research?
Well, no, I just, the basic idea of vibrations um, was developed by John Addy, Addey. He was a British astrologer. He died in the early 1980s. So around the 60s and 70s, he did a lot of research. He wrote some great books on this. And then he got these ideas from other people as well. And then after Addy died, not many people continued with it, but I did. And
Wow.
I
Oh,
just
I'm
kept
glad you did.
working with it. Yeah, so I didn't invent it, but I've been instrumental in helping push this, by doing the research and developing the software and teaching and so on.
Oh, why do you think sports people have this seventh harmonic influence, vibrational? The Varga chart in Vedic astrology is the sexual chart. is the intercourse chart. Could
Right.
have something to do with that?
Well, again, the research is showing things a little bit different. It's showing that the ancient ideas are true, but not exactly the way that they were presented.
Hmm.
So maybe the subtamsha, we can call it subtamsha, we can call it seventh harmonic, we can call it seventh vibration. Maybe it has something to do with sexuality, and I think they relate it sometimes to children
Children
too.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, and children. But in our research, what we have seen is the seven makes you quiet and still.
Ah,
So it's like the opposite of 11. 11's got the heebie-jeebies. I mean, it's like, you know, and seven is very quiet and still. And when you become quiet and still, what happens is you become like deep, you become mature, and you have the ability to control yourself, to have mastery. So seven is deep and quiet. It often becomes intellectual because if you're quiet, you can think. It also leads to discipline. Now, these are the greatest athletes, not just people with a natural skill.
mhm.
Well, how do you get to be the greatest? One of the things is you have this control and the practice, 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 and that love of the focus, going up and down, the court or whatever, hitting that tennis ball over and over,
It sounds
you
very
know.
Saturnian. In numerology, Saturn is the vibration seven. And I think if it's the seventh sign, Libra correlation, well, Libra is very peaceful and Saturn is exalted there. I don't know how to, I mean, like I'm throwing here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We all
Next
do this.
question.
We all do this. And yes, it does have some things in common with Saturn. But that's what it does. And a lot of people relate seven to being mystical, but
Mhm.
it's specifically what seven does is it makes you deep and profound. So in quiet, it's like, people talk about the monkey mind, the mind just chattering away. Well, seven has less of a monkey mind than other vibrations. It tends to quiet the mind. And so when the mind is quiet, you like to read, you like to study, you like to practice. You just so it's I have a simple way to understand seven vibration, which is if you're standing up, neither one of us is standing up right now, but you stand on one foot. You just stand on one foot. When you stand on one foot, what happens? You tend to get quiet. You're kind of feeling your balance and you're going within, you might say, that's the seven process.
Mhm.
You're just getting quiet, and it's hard to even say what going within means, but somehow you're just turning off a lot of stuff. And from that, a lot of things can happen. And the greatest athletes have it. That's why they have this focus, this perfection. It leads to mastery. And it's not just a gift. It's not like these greatest athletes were just born that way. I mean, they'll sit there and they'll shoot that jump shot over and over, or the coach will keep hitting that backhand and they hit it over and over and over, and most people will get tired. They'll say, okay, this is boring, I'm done. But the seven vibration says, no, I'm going to get it right. I got
They
to
get
get it
into
right.
the zone. They get into the zone. They probably start
Yeah,
thinking, and their body starts acting instead.
you get
Wow.
in the zone. That's what seven does. It gets you in the zone. And then before you know it, they don't even know that they've been on the court for 2 hours. And then
Wow.
they've got that top spin, and the coach says perfect. And they get the seven. That it is a kind of mystical power, isn't it? But
Yeah.
it's not mystical necessarily like,
Seeing
you
angels.
like you see angels or channel angels or something. It's more like that, getting in the zone
Wow.
very deep.
Oh, I'm fascinated. I want to ask you about each harmonic.
The which harmonic?
Each. I want to ask you
Oh,
about each.
yeah. Well, we'll be here for days. The thing is, I have videos about all this, um, and we have the conference. I mean, really, the conference is fantastic because you get to meet all the people doing this. Every lecture is on the latest research of things we're discovering, and we make it simple so any level you're at, you can experience it. So Yeah, it's a whole new world. I mean,
Wow, so
um,
it's not like looking Venus in the seventh house, Uranus in the midheaven, whatever. It's like what vibration
yeah,
planets come down to.
you've got it, Lotta. And we still use that stuff like houses and signs, but they're more subtle because the greatest athletes and the rock musicians, we could not find anything in common with their signs
Mhm.
or their houses. Maybe it's there, maybe we didn't look hard enough, maybe you have to use some kind of complex thing, I don't know. But when you do the vibrations, bam, it's there, you know. And what's really cool, of course, is not just that it works, but you can feel the musician in the vibration. I mean, you understand them. Let me give you an example. Suppose you do the 33rd vibration, okay? 11 times 3.
Okay, what is that?
No, you're going to tell me, Lotta, because you're smart. What is,
Is
what,
that based on numerology, the
no,
vibration?
no, no.
It's like
Think
triple times the 11th vibration.
3, but what does 3 mean in astrology?
Perfection.
Well, in
Oh,
astrology, trine,
oh, trine. Okay.
a trine is soft, harmonious,
Okay.
right?
So that's much softer
Yes,
11th vibration.
that's it. You've got it. So the 33 vibration, you take the circle, you divide it into 33
Uh-huh.
sections,
Uh-huh.
has 11 and 3 mixed,
Uh-huh.
and you get this softer feeling, yeah, and a more flowing feeling. Same thing with 66. 11 took because the sextile is also soft. So you
Yeah.
see, the vibrational astrology is not so completely different because we still have our trines and sextiles. Now,
Oh.
if you go to the early rock musicians, who has 66 vibration? Well, it's not Jim Morrison or somebody like that. It was Donovan. Donovan, where your love like
Oh,
heaven.
yeah, it's so
Lord,
soft
kiss me
and
once
gentle.
more, fill me with song. Da, da. It's very gentle and sweet, da, da, and it's very flowy.
Uh-huh.
And he has this huge 66 vibration.
Wow.
So, is that cool or what? I mean, you really can feel the people and you feel how they have their special gifts, that they, you
So
know,
if a client comes to your person and you take their chart, what you run like 100 different charts for them, or does the software calculate what their vibration is? How does it work?
Now, I'm laughing because you zero right in on the big issues. So what we do is we have the software tells us which vibrations are the most important. So it'll see, if there are 4 or more planets in a vibration, it'll go through all the vibrations up to 360, find out which ones are there and tell us. The other thing is that the very low vibrations, like 5, 7, 9, 11, we have to look at those for everybody because they're so basic, so basic. I can tell you a little story about 5, 7, and 9 if you want.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Imagine a child who's 5 years old, okay? And the child is playful. Like they dress up, they go up in the attic, they get mom's clothes, and they dress up, and kids are adorable, right? I mean, they play around and they make you laugh. Now, if the child does not play, they're not creative, they're just like linear, logical, they're kind of boring. You expect kids to not be so linear and logical and matter of fact, to have this openness, this just experimentation, like just try it. Why not? It won't hurt anything. That's 5. That's the quality of 5. It wants to experiment and just see what will happen. So if you want to know what 5 is like, think of a child who gets dressed up in mommy's clothes and says, "Look at me," and wearing the high heels and falls over, and everybody's laughing because it's just fun. It doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to achieve anything. It just is. That's 5. It doesn't need to achieve anything, doesn't need to prove anything. It's not going
It's
anywhere.
plain. Yeah.
It's playing, it's experimenting. Now, we want all children, at least I think you and I do, and probably most people watching this, we want them to show 5 quality, right? Otherwise, It's like they're not really children.
Yeah.
Something's missing. Now, you also want the child to um, to not be silly all the time and to be quiet. So if they're going to take piano lessons, and the piano teacher says, "Okay, we're going to play a C chord, dun 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 dun," and they just keep playing around and hitting all over the place, and they can't sit still. That's not so great either. You want them to be five, playful, but you would like them to be still and quiet. It would just be good for them. Not that we want it, but it will help them because then they'll be able to master things. That's seven. So we want the child to be play. Now, maybe some cultures don't, but a healthy culture wants the children to play and they want them to be quiet if they can. I mean, you can't force it. If they have no seven vibration in their chart, it's not going to be easy, but it's to their benefit if they can. Now, nine, Navamsha. The Navamsha is huge, right, in Vedic astrology,
Hmm.
and it's huge in vibrational. Nine is when you tell the kid to say thank you. So Aunt Sally gives the kid a present. What do you say? Thank you. When the kid learns to say thank you, they've realized that things don't just appear, falling out of heaven, like, falling off trees, that you're part of a community. You're part of an extended family. It's not just you. This is made possible by people working together, by people participating. And nine is real. We say a lot of things about Navamsha in Vedic. It's um, it's your spiritual path, it's your marriage partner, it's all this stuff. But underneath all that, nine is a sense that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We're part of a community. We're part of an extended family. If you live in a city, you wouldn't be able to eat dinner tonight if there wasn't farmers and grocers and stuff. It's like we're all in this together, and each of us is working as a part of a community. And nine is a deep sensitivity that we live in a community, and it wants the community to be harmonious and healthy and integrated.
It's very
So
philanthropic in a sense, like
yeah,
Fine House is like Sagittarius is. It cares for, and it's and ultimately we're part of God and the universe, and
but nine doesn't go that far.
okay.
Okay, nine doesn't go all the way to the universe. It only goes as far as what it can see.
Uh-huh.
There are other vibrations that go beyond, but nine is about the community around us. But you're right; it's philanthropic. It breaks the ego, you might say, and makes us feel that we are all in this together. All of us who make our lives work together. I had one of our people who was one of our programmers years ago was from India, a lady from India. And one day she was telling me that when you're 18 years old, you're supposed to get married, and within 2 years, you're supposed to have a baby and all this stuff. And I said, well, why do you have these beliefs, that were handed down? I said, is it just something you're indoctrinated with, or do you know why? Oh, she says, we know exactly why. I said, why? She says, because if you don't get married, you won't be part of the community. You'll just be like a free agent.
Oh.
And so if you get married and you have children, then you have a stake in the community and you'll become more fully a part of the community. Now, I'm not saying that, that's kind
That
of
that's right,
you
or
know, that's just their belief system. But you see how they saw marriage as a nine vibration thing.
wow.
Yeah,
For us,
now
it's
today,
not so in the West. We
no,
don't
no,
care.
she's beautiful, she's gorgeous, I'm in love, I want to marry her, right? But they're thinking um, about growing into the community and how to do that. So they saw marriage as a nine vibration thing.
But in Vedic astrology, the ninth house is being accepted by society. It's
Ah,
true because if you have malefics in the ninth house in Vedic astrology, they say that you clash with the beliefs of your society, of your fathers, and you become like outcast. And that for them, this is the biggest how do I say, fall from grace or evil or
Yeah, yeah,
unhappiness in a person's life. Well, in the Western world, my God, we it doesn't affect us as much. We're different.
right.
Uh, but so yeah, interesting that I don't think marriage is any more than ninth vibration for most of us in the West. But this is fascinating. You really start understanding what the ancient meant by those vibrational charts, by those harmonic charts, and you really start understanding on how it's relevant to nowadays what's happening,
Hmm.
and to connect it to the present moment and to the present state of consciousness of humanity, especially in the Western world.
Yeah,
This is fascinating research.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And there's so many things. We've done research on predicting prices of gold. I mean, I can't even think of all of them off the top of my head. Athletic performance, what's happening when a person performs well. It's so exciting. And every time we do the research, we learn something. We learn that, oh, we didn't have the orb exactly right, or we didn't consider this. So we get confirmation that we're on the right track, but we always find out something new. And we've been doing this for so long that now the vibrational astrology language has gotten very sophisticated. It's gone way, way outside like the normal language. Because I've been doing this kind of quietly and privately since the early 70s. And then in the last 10 to 15 years, a group of people are now doing it. And so it's become a very highly developed system, of astrology.
Can people from anywhere in the world join you? And is there like a tool they can use to help with such research? Or
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things they can do. If there's one aspect is the research, and the research you can, if you like Vedic astrology or Hellenistic or modern psychological, I encourage you to do more research, more evidence-based approach with any system. And I've made videos about that. I'm at the ESAR, International Society for Astrological Research, their conference in September 2020. I'm going to give a pre-conference, a day and a half training on how to do the research, and you get a certificate at the end of it. So we're really starting a large movement
wow.
of introducing people to evidence-based astrology, is a good term for it. So, I mean, I've got a lot of things I'm doing, but, one is just getting people into this idea that you can confirm. We're in the 21st century, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we have Android phones and iPhones. This is a new age of information, and we're using this potential. We have the databases, we have the software, and we're going to be releasing more free software. So by next year, we're going to have a free research program. There's actually going to be 3 of them that'll be available.
So people
There's
can go and experiment and test from the.
Yeah, because we don't want to force people to buy something, then they think we're just trying to sell you something. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I just do stuff just like you. So um, we're going to make some things free. There's already some things free already, but it's going to get better and better. And by next year, when I give this training, it'll be really nicely developed so that everybody can do this and they don't have to spend
What
any
is the
money.
website?
Um, well, we have one research program now. It's called SRS. It's at binduastrology.com by my colleague Ehsan Kazeni, but also the astro.com, Alice Trindle. He's starting up a research thing. And I'm going to have my own research program we're going to call Discover. And Discover will be free. It'll be ready by the end of the year. And
Yeah.
you'll be able to go to our website, astrosoftware.com, and click on Discover, and it'll be a Windows program, the first release of it, but it'll run on a Mac with a thing called Crossover Mac. You don't have to put Windows on your Mac, but anyway, you'll need a Mac or a PC, and you'll download it, and you'll have uh, I'm not sure, probably 70,000 data and at least 20,000 with AA accuracy, and you'll be able to search and do these kind of things to confirm.
And
You
you can do
know,
the vibrational charts, like the harmonic charts for those.
well, the free research, I'm not sure how much of that will be in the free research program.
Mhm.
if you want to be able to do all that, then you do need to buy a program.
Which
We make the
program
Kep.
is it?
Well, this one of the programs we develop is the Sirius. The
Okay.
Star, SIRIUS. That's our top level program.
And it has
And
the vibrational tools to research.
right, and then there's another less expensive version called Kepler.
Yes.
And a lot of people just get Kepler. It's about half the price of Sirius, and they get Kepler. And Kepler does 90% of the vibrational stuff that's in the Sirius software. And then you can upgrade from Kepler to Sirius. So you don't have to feel pressured to get Sirius. You can just get the Kepler program.
And sorry, I keep asking because I'm
That's
so
okay.
fascinated. When you get, uh, do you have something for people who are amateurs who don't want to do research, who can go and order the natal chart and see the harmonic vibration, which is the biggest one,
Yeah, we have
like
a
a report?
website. Yeah, sorry to interrupt. We have a website, starguidance.com. 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 And Star Guidance has dozens of interpretations you can order right there. They're only like $10 or $15 each. And one of them is called the Harmonic Highlights Report.
Uh-huh.
So you can go to starguidance.com, click on natal reports. You'll see harmonic highlights. I think it's only like $6 or $7, I believe. I can go there and verify. And it gets emailed to you. It'll run it, and within about 3 or 4 minutes, it'll take you to PayPal to pay for it. And within 3 or 4 minutes, it'll appear in your inbox, and you'll receive this interpretation.
And it
So,
tells you which is the main harmonics in your horoscope.
no, harmonic highlights doesn't tell you the biggest ones. It just tells you interpretations of some minor aspects. We do not have an interpretation now that's extremely thorough of the harmonics. It all takes time. I mean, a lot of this stuff we've only discovered like 10 to 15 years ago, and just programming the calculations and
Mm.
everything, and so that astrologers can use it. And so, it'll just keep getting better and better. We're going to have a vibrational astrology forecast interpretation is going to come out probably in 1 month.
Oh,
Um,
so you can even forecast with
yeah,
harmonic charts based on
yeah.
transits or based on your
Well,
chart or what?
transits. And what the vibrational astrology forecast does is if it finds out what vibrations are being activated today, with what planets. And it could go into very high vibrations. So there are all these vibrational things going on that we don't know about. you know. Anyway, it's a whole new world, and we'll have that interpretation
Is
that
it
people can
more correct
order.
than transits? Have you noticed?
Yeah, the vibrational astrology forecast. I just finished it like 2 or 3 months ago, and within a month we're going to make it available for people to order. Um, but it's blowing my mind. At the Vibrational Astrology Conference, we ran 4 months of it for everybody who attended, just as a little gift. I mean, they didn't
Uh-huh.
know this. They showed up and we said, "Here it is. We're just going to run this for you." We had them enter their data on a computer, and I have software that takes their data and just runs all the reports for them and emails it to them. Um, and the feedback is amazing. Um, so, yeah, I mean, we're having fun, right?
Wow.
I mean, we're just exploring, we're finding things out, and in the long run, we'll find out what works, what doesn't work.
So it's
Um,
all it's in the process of creation, guys. If you want to be part of creating the new astrology of the new Aquarian uh, age, as we call it, or just like with the new Saturn conjunct Jupiter now in 2020, is it, or 2021 that it starts? It's gonna start. I think it's gonna go huge because Aquarius is vibration anyway. And
yeah,
the conjunction, the great Jupiter Saturn conjunction, I think it's gonna take astrology a lot in that direction, the vibrational direction, and um, I want you to feel part now watching this interview. If you've never heard of that, like I've never heard before, uh, I want you to feel part of a revolution. Maybe you'll be telling your grandkids one day that I was there when it was in
yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning.
You were there when it
Before,
first started.
now that astrology is in your school and your textbooks, it started there with a small group of pioneers. And David started it all. Oh, just one question. even
Yeah.
tried to see who is crazy enough to study astrology vibrationally. Is there something that people that are interested in astrology or different types of astrology that underlines the like a harmonics of some sort?
So who would study vibrational astrology
No,
specifically?
who's gonna become who is an astrologer? What do
Oh,
astrologers
oh,
have in common
oh, what do
astrologically?
astrologers have in common? Well, actually, we did some research on astrologers, and there seem to be different things.
That's what I think, because there are different types of astrologies that
They're
people are drawn.
right. Some astrologers are more like the seventh harmonic type. They're very deep. And when you get deep seventh harmonic, you get into symbolic thinking and like the symbols, the archetypes that are underneath life. There's that kind. A lot of people in vibrational astrology, they have Aquarius, they also have 11, sometimes often 33 vibration.
Uh-huh.
Very common. You probably have some 33 vibration. I'll have to look at your vibrational charts
Oh, I'm
because you
gonna ask you.
because it's this progressive openness. Um, so there's some different things we've seen. There's so many kinds of astrology. One thing I want to say before I forget um, is that we have all these kinds of astrology. Hellenistic and medieval and so many variations. And what's wonderful, I think, in the last decade or so, because I've been into this for over 40 years, is people are now more able to pursue what they love and not feel like they have to be in a war with someone else. So if somebody's listening, one of your fans is listening and they're saying, "Oh, I don't like this vibrational astrology. I can't wait till Lada goes back to her other stuff." Great, wonderful. you know, I mean, like a lot of the software development we do is in medieval astrology, working on Ottoman Empire astrology right now. We're doing some advanced Vedic programming right now. We just want to have fun with all of it. This is just what I've gotten excited about, what I think is a revolution, what I think you're right. I think the kids will be learning this in school someday because it really works. Maybe I'm wrong. That's fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings. We're just on an adventure. We're like gold diggers. And I think I found gold and maybe your gold is better, but I
I don't
think
know. I might as well turn to vibrational astrology. And today, for harmonic people, number 11. Oh, no. Oh, wow, that's fascinating. I'm Aquarius rising, so I'm very into the scientific method. So
yeah,
if it
well,
makes sense to me, and if there is a system there that is repeatable, this is I would like to help make it bigger.
oh,
Uh,
well, we're going to continue to talk to each other, Lotta, because this really works. I mean, repeatable is exactly the word. We can repeat things. We can verify things. It's so exciting. And we're
yeah.
learning. We're going to like this conference we have every year. Every year we introduce new material. So we present the results of the previous year's research because every year this improves because like, for example, I'm going to be working this year on my accident research and I'm going to be doing another 40 or 50 accidents this year and I'll find out more about how to predict accidents and I'll present that as a lecture. And Clarissa Dolphin, one of our speakers, one of her topics is going to be something that you, I think, in my opinion, have tremendous expertise in, is on Rahu and Ketu. And because, by the way, I've loved your videos on Rahu and Ketu. In fact, I'm going to send the links to Clarissa to watch them
No.
because they're brilliant because you bring in a lot of the Vedic wisdom about Rahu and Ketu in a way that really makes sense. I mean, that really the way you explain the reptilian brain and all this stuff, it's just beautiful. And but Clarissa will be putting it through our research to see, is it really just your path of past lives, or is it obsessive? And we'll verify these things. And
Yeah,
I
because
know
in the
I'm
Western world, Rahu is so positive. In Eastern world, is like addictions, obsessions, where you can make the biggest mistakes, where you can be taken, preyed upon, and stuff. And I want to know as well, because it's hard to, no matter how many charts I've run, I've seen it both ways, but I want to see experimentally
Yeah, yeah,
scientifically what does it
exactly. And
mean.
I can't wait till Clarissa does this research and then the rest of us come in and we review it because I don't know either. Is that I think the Vedic is right, especially like the way you explain it. But this is the fun of the research
Yeah.
because we'll see exactly who has like moon conjunct Rahu with the smallest orb, for example.
Hmm.
There's a lot of different ways we can do it. Um,
Wow.
yeah.
This is, I'm so excited. Is there a way to purchase the seminar at the conference if people want to watch the
Yeah, we
record?
just posted some of the recordings from the conference. We didn't get a good recording of all of them. It was our first time to put on a conference. Next year, we're hiring a professional guy to do video and audio, and we'll get all of it perfect. But you can go to astrosoftware.com, and then once you're at astrosoftware.com, and there's a menu bar at the top. In the upper right, it says conference, and just go to conference, and then you'll see the VA conference information about next year's conference and how to get the audio recordings. By the way, one other thing with the conference, we've made it as inexpensive as humanly possible. So it's like $225 for the whole weekend, includes the Saturday night banquet. You know, we got these beautiful rooms for $95 a night. We're really trying to just get this out to people in as friendly and open a way as we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
So
so much, David. You excited my astrology hunger again. Because every so often I start losing interest, and I'm like, okay, I'm bored with this astrology, and now I want the new astrology. Now I want something more corrective. And every time something pops up, and I've been feeling this tiredness in the last few months, like, and now you revive this interest. So I'm gonna start looking into vibrational astrology more. Thank you for introducing us. I hope that was helpful and interesting for you too, my lovely astro family. And I look forward to have you again on the channel here, David, with new exciting research and findings. Thank you.
thank you, Lara. Namaste. Thank you.